Welcome back, guys. Thank you for joining us. It's late here on a Saturday night. We just got back.
That means it's 9:45.
It's late for me. I'm a dad. We got back from RWX here at Hartford, Connecticut, and want to just do a quick little cut here with some of the pickups that we got. You know, as promised, kind of show you some of the things that we picked up today. Some of the scores. It was a lot of fun today. There were a lot of people out there. Deals were actually pretty good. I think last year they were actually a little tougher to come by, and even at Oakdale it was even better. But this year was pretty good. So we'll just get right into it. Why not?
And then I got a bunch of 2 sweets today.
Oh, that's right.
Because of the Young Bucks.
That's right. The Bullet Club was in full effect today over at RWX. The first game that we got here is actually in pretty good condition. So this is Gex for the Sega Saturn. I played this game actually when I was 13 years old. I actually played on the PlayStation 1.
Not on a 3DO.
Nobody owned a 3DO unless you had $30,000 to buy a 3DO. But excellent game. It's got commentary from Dana Gould. He was a comedian at some point.
Dana Gould.
Yeah. But actually a really, really good platformer game. A lot of fun. Nostalgic for me, but I'm also going for a whole Saturn set. So this is one that I needed in my collection. And so we picked it up. So that was one of the good scores. Actually, a really good copy. So Gex for Sega Saturn, right there.
Boom.
Number 1.
Yeah, I picked up. So I got 2 at the same time. I picked up Tailspin for Genesis, which I've actually never played. Just like a side-scrolling game, kind of like Little Mermaid, like Quackshot.
Oh, like Deep Duck Trouble.
Yeah. So I grabbed that, and then...
It's a good copy. That's actually pretty good condition.
Yeah, and then I grabbed Bomberman 64, which was like one of the first games I played on N64 when it came out, especially because of 4-player mode.
Did you play it in 4-player mode when you
Oh,
got it? Yeah? Oh, that must have been bonkers.
Yeah, it's a really good game. And then I guess Bomberman 64 Second Offense is a lot more expensive than this one.
I actually saw that at the show, Bomberman 64 Part 2. Alright, so get this one out of the way. So, we got a poster here. Really good deals on posters. The guy wanted $8 poster, or 3 for $20, which I thought was great, because I'm buying them on Amazon right now for a lot more than that. But it's a little poster of Bucky O'Hare, which came out on the NES. I think it was based off of a cartoon back in the day.
It was, yeah.
But a really, really, really good platforming game. Actually, you know, it's made by Konami, if you guys can see that there. But its roots and what they were trying to copy was Mega Man. You start with Bucky O'Hare, but there's 4 different characters, and each character, depending on the scenario, is required to get past a certain area. So almost like what's the dwarf game for Super Nintendo?
Lost Vikings.
Lost Vikings. So kind of like that, where you got to use a different character to get through a certain spot. But really, really good, well done. Unfortunately, it goes for a lot of money now. And the crazy thing about that, I didn't know it at the time. I went to GameStop, or it was like Babbage's at the time, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Look at the price that I paid for Bucky O'Hare probably in year 2000, 1999. If you can read that, it says $4.99. And we just realized today that they're going for, at the timing of this video, somewhere like $80 or $90, which is kind of crazy.
I wish I still had. I have no idea what happened to mine. I definitely had it before.
If you guys come across this game, Bucky O'Hare, you have an opportunity to play it, emulate it, whatever it is. Get a chance to play this game. This game is really, really good. In fact, Trenton and I beat it together a number of years ago. So we should actually probably do that again. That was a fun game. Maybe we'll do like a let's play of that. So check it out if you can.
Actually, the next thing I picked up was actually not a game at all.
Your boy.
Actually, I had a friend text me this morning, and he's like, "Oh, are you meeting Bob Backlund?" And I had no idea what he was talking about, and I looked it up, and Bob Backlund was actually at the expo, who lives up to the hype because he's a character. So he upsold me, and I got his book, and he even signed it on the inside, and then I got a poster signed by him and a picture. So I definitely had to get that because I'm a huge wrestling fan. Anything wrestling related, I pretty much buy anywhere, anytime. Go into a Victoria's Secret and walk out with a wrestling figure.
And Bob Backlund, I guess true to form as a wrestler, I don't know him too well. Trenton's more of the wrestlehead, but yelled at my wife, who was taking a picture of Bob and Trenton, and told her to hurry the hell up and take the damn picture, woman.
And he actually put me in a chicken wing, but that was off camera. which was perfect.
We don't got B-roll of that?
Yeah, because I mean, in his heyday in like the 60s and 70s, obviously I wasn't around, but he had the big feud with Bret Hart in the 90s, and when he used to snap and put the chicken wing on people. That's what I remember him for.
Let's switch it up a little bit here. So
Get to the chopper!
Yeah. So there were two Sega Master System games that I wanted to get when I went to the show. One was Fantasy Zone, and then the other one was this game. And I was like, I gotta try to get at least one of these games. And sure enough, this game was out there. I saw a bunch of loose copies, and then I found in the box Choplifter, and she only wanted $4 for it. Doesn't have the manual, but this is one of the games that I've been looking for to finish off the Master System games that I'm looking for. It's supposed to be the best version of Choplifter. It's a two-dimensional. You're a helicopter going left to right, trying to destroy bases and actually get prisoners of war and kind of get them back in your helicopter and fly them back. Really good game. Like I said, Master System game is supposed to be one of the better versions of it. So was trying to pick that up, and I got a great score for it, $4. Some of these places, when you go to these video game shows, you got to hunt, but sometimes you can find really, really good deals on stuff. So if you have something coming to your area, check it out. Take your time. That would be my guidance: is take your time, look around, go around the whole venue, check it out, and then spotlight a couple of things that look good and go for it if you can. So Choplifter for $4, that's a good deal.
So the next piece I picked up, I wasn't even looking for. But we went to the Gaming Historian.
The Gaming Historian was in
He actually had a bunch of stuff for sale, just a bunch of random stuff, some dollar games. So I picked up the Tick on Genesis, which I looked up as I was standing there because I had no idea what kind of game it was. It's a beat 'em up.
I want to play this one.
Yeah, it's by Fox. Whatever that means.
Everybody was making games back then.
Yeah. I'm sure they licensed it out to someone. It has a Fox Interactive and Fox Kids logo on it.
I'm sure if we look hard enough, Mitsubishi made a game.
But it's a beat 'em up, so like any kind of beat 'em up game, I just want to get to eventually play and record it. So hopefully it's halfway decent. I'm gonna guess it's one player, and it's not even two-player beat 'em up, because for some reason that's what they did.
But for $5, I mean,
yeah, I mean,
you can find stuff that's just you've never seen before, and it's like for $5, take a chance on it. All right, and then actually at the Gaming Historian again, he had another game that I actually played as a kid. That's Super Dodgeball for NES. Really, really cool game, underrated game. Basically, it's dodgeball as you would think. There's two sides and sort of like a tennis net in the middle, and you're basically throwing these fireballs at the other enemies. It follows the I think it's the Kunio-kun style characters, which are in what's the beat 'em up? The River City Ransom is one of the games.
Oh yeah, so it's like World Cup.
Like World Cup,
Nintendo,
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of the same controls, but really, really, really good. I remember I played this on a console television back in 1990. I'll never forget it. It actually was really, really good. Good game if you can find it for a good price. Check it out. Super Dodgeball. It's excellent.
I know. And then I picked up 32X and Genesis game. I was really hoping to find some Sega CD games, but there was only one, Soul Star, which I saw when I first walked in, and I offered the guy $75, and he turned me down. I was hoping to come back later, but he'd already sold it. But so I just, in a bargain bin, I picked up Joe and Mac on Genesis, and then I got NBA Jam TE on 32X, which is probably actually the best edition of the game. No loading times, pretty much the same graphics as like the PlayStation and Saturn one.
I didn't get this at the show, but what we're gonna have to do, maybe we'll do a side by side.
Oh, a side by side.
We'll do Joe and Mac for Super Nintendo.
Dude, it's cracked. On
yeah. Look at this is my Joe and Mac. Check that out. Sometimes my son gets hungry and likes to snack on some of the cartridges. But yeah, maybe we'll do a side by side Joe and Mac on both consoles. That would be cool too.
I'm gonna guess the Genesis version is better. I don't know. I have a feeling
the resolution's probably better on Genesis.
Yeah, but Data East did that, and then Takara did this one.
I wonder if they're the same game. Another game I've been looking for a long time is this one right here. I found it in the box. Got it for a good price. Castlevania Circle of the Moon. This was the first Castlevania that came out for Game Boy Advance when the Game Boy Advance came out. One of the criticisms of this game was that it was just too dark. The Game Boy Advance, if anybody remembers, when it first came out, the sideways one, the first model, was actually not backlit. And so games like this were hard to see on that non-backlit screen. So this is the kind of game, it's a great game if you have a Retron 5, or if you have one of the newer model SPs, especially the 101 models, which have the brighter screen. If you can use one of those, this is supposed to be an excellent Castlevania game. So if you get a chance to check this one out, if you like Castlevania or Castlevania-like games.
So swung back around towards the end. I was trying to find Snowboard Kids all day long.
He's been talking about Snowboard Kids. Just so you guys know, he's been talking about Snowboard Kids. Every time I see him, I gotta get Snowboard Kids. I was looking at a copy of Snowboard Kids on eBay. I didn't get it. It's like 3 years in the making. He's been talking about Snowboard Kids. I finally don't have to hear it anymore because he found a copy.
No, so this is Snowboard Kids 2.
Oh, shit. I gotta deal with Snowboard Kids 1 now?
Yeah.
Oh,
so I did find Snowboard Kids 2, and of course, it's by Atlas, so any game by them is pretty much hard to get.
Usually good, too.
I've actually never played Snowboard Kids 2, but I hear it's just like the first one, so at least it's a good game. And then I also picked up Ignition Factor on Super Nintendo, which was someone was selling it there last year, and I wanted to pick it up, but I passed, and so he gave me both of them for a pretty good price, so I'm happy with that. But still on the hunt for Snowboard Kids. So if you like Mario Kart, any kind of the kart racing games, that's what Snowboard Kids is, and it's really good.
All right, let's switch it up a little bit. Maybe do some hardware. So
the hardest.
Just so that you guys know, I was there with my son, who's 4, and then I was also there with my wife. And I tend to gravitate a little bit more to the Sega side, while my wife couldn't even pronounce Sega when I first met her, so she is pretty much all Nintendo. And she's been dying to get one of these things. She mentions it all the time because Nintendo 64 is her favorite console. And
you buried the lead.
Well, so this is one of the Funtastic consoles. It's the Ice Blue Funtastic console. It's actually in really, really good condition. Even came with the expansion pack. And we saw it actually, so this is one of those cases. We saw it when we came in, and the guy wanted a certain price for it, and I was like, let's just, let's move around, let's check it out. We actually went back to our car after a few hours, came back, played a couple of the arcade games, which were fantastic, by the way. RWX did a great job with that. But we went over to him, we said, listen, we'll give you this much. And he said, you know what, I'll take it. So my wife was happy, first and foremost, probably for only about 5 minutes, because then she was saying, well, now we got to get all of them. But she was excited, so we'll hook this up. We'll probably run it through S-Video for now because it's not modded yet. But we'll get this going. And anyways, it's kind of cool to have one of these see-through consoles. It's pretty nice to have. I know that they're pretty rare. I don't think this is one of the rarer of the Funtastic consoles. I think the orange one and the grape one are rare. I can remember.
What about the lime green one?
The lime green one is, I think it's watermelon.
Oh, watermelon.
That one's not as rare, but I know that these were later because I remember I was already playing Dreamcast at the time. I had already had it. It might even have been year 2000, and I can remember during Christmas time, probably in 2000, that they were selling all of the Funtastic colors. I remember at Toys R Us, and I saw people walking out with them, and of course I was like, the GameCube's coming out. Why are people getting them? But of course, these are families. We're buying them for little kids, and I'm kind of jealous that they did because I kind of had to pay a premium for this now. But still cool to have. Pretty awesome. The next game, actually the rest of these games are going to be Saturn games. First one we got here is Alone in the Dark. One-Eyed Jack's Revenge, just the apt name for it.
One-Eyed Jack.
Alone in the Dark is pretty much thought of as the forefather of the survival horror genre in terms of like a 3D survival horror, room to room. I know it's where Resident Evil got a lot of its inspiration from. Well, there's the Nintendo game that they got their inspiration from back in the day that Capcom made. It was a Famicom only release. I can't remember the name, but Resident Evil got its inspiration from that. But then in terms of the new the New Age, Alone in the Dark was the big one. So the sequel, One Eye Jack's Revenge, came out on Saturn. I didn't even know this, but apparently it comes with this little tip card that you could call in to a tip line and get 5 free minutes of tips. So you better talk fast. But I actually didn't even know that it came with this.
So we all need 5 minutes of tips.
Yeah. So pretty cool. I mean, I'm glad I have it since I know that now that it came with it. Because if it didn't, then like I said, you guys know I'm trying to go for my Saturn set, and if it didn't have it, and I knew that it would, then I'd have to be looking for. Yeah, if you can see behind me, I'd be looking for that card. So.
Coco Pelli too.
Yeah, Coco Pelli. So Coco Pelli actually published In the Hunt, which is an amazing, amazing game for PlayStation 1 and for Saturn. This one I'm not sure. RoboPit is definitely not a good game if you saw RoboPit. But again, cool game. I'm glad to have it. It's in my collection now. I don't have to worry about it. I can mark it off. All right, a Piece de Resistance Starfighter. No, I'm just kidding. But I did need it. It's a little beat up. I got to get a new case for it. But again,
Acclaim, it's good.
I think Acclaim published more games on the Saturn than pretty much any publisher at the time. They were just blowing them out, which is probably why they don't exist anymore.
Put your name on it.
Starfighter, I don't know much about it. It looks like a flight game. It's definitely a flight game, but who knows? We'll take a look, see how it is. One of them.
Yeah, I have one more indirect pickup, actually. Because actually you grabbed it, I turned around,
right.
And like, here, I got this for you.
So,
I'm not really looking for this game, but because I want to play it and do a video on it. Nickelodeon's Guts. So, I mean, if you were around in the 90s, you remember. It's kind of like American Gladiators.
I was going to say, is it like
American Gladiators, but for kids. They had, the aggro crag and everything. I remember renting it from Blockbuster, and I remember being pretty bad then, but that's why I still want to play it. So I know it'll be good to do a video on it.
Now, if you get a high score and send it into Viacom, do you get a piece of the rock?
I hope they still have it.
Can you get a signed Mark O'Malley piece of the rock?
Yeah, and then, Mo signs it too, the referee.
Oh, gosh.
Mo and Mark.
Yeah.
It's like Joe and Mac.
It might as well be. Got some T-shirts actually for my son. Actually, my son and my wife wear the same size T-shirt now. But picked up a Sega shirt. I actually have this one. I got it last year, but they had them again. Who doesn't love a good T-shirt, right? So gotta rep the squad, and we got a couple of those. All right, the real Piece de Resistance. So there are
Holy Grail.
Yeah,
Holy Grail.
Holy
Grail.
There are a couple of games that are like really, really hard to find or really, really, really expensive for the Saturn. One of them I got, the most expensive one pretty much of the standard US releases was Panzer Dragoon Saga. I got this actually for my 8th grade graduation when I was a kid. My mom picked it up for me, and it's probably one of my favorite games of all time. Great game, but again, ridiculously expensive and just kind of crazy that people can't really play it because there's not really a good emulator for Sega Saturn. It's hard. It's a hard system to emulate because Sega just threw a bunch of fucking chips into the Saturn and said, "Go do something with it." And I think the original source code was actually lost for this, as far as I know. So that one, and then the other one, I believe, was the last American release in the United States. And I remember going to EB Games in the Buckland Hills Mall when it was still called EB Games.
Not Babbage's?
No, because there was a Babbage's upstairs, and then there was the EB Games downstairs. And they had it behind the case.
Oh, and the software, etc.
Yep, they had it behind the case, and there were probably a couple rows of copies. And I remember saying to myself, why would anybody want a Saturn game right now? And here I am, like a schmuck, buying games for definitely triple figure prices. But I knew somebody who had this game, and I hate to keep you guys waiting, but I got to build it up. I knew somebody who had this game, and we finally made the deal, and I got a really good price on it because I'm just a stickler. I gotta haggle. But this is one of the more tougher, if not the second toughest game to get, I think, in my opinion, and that's Magic Knight Ray Earth.
Is it good?
It's a good game. It's an RPG. Working Designs, which is the publisher, didn't really bring over games from Japan that weren't good. So when they worked on a game, generally it was going to be something that could sell to the audience that liked those kinds of games, which were either action platformers or RPGs, JRPGs, traditional RPGs. Magic Knight Rayearth, back when it was reviewed, kind of got 7s. It was a good game, but nothing that was crazy. But of course, at that time, it was 1998, and everybody was moving towards 3D, and that was the flashy new thing. And I think even a lot of times reviewers were taken for that. This is a complete in-box copy. It has the stickers and the registration card
and the foam brick.
Oh, gotta have the foam brick. But it's definitely one of those games that I needed to have. And what's tough and what really stinks about classic gaming in general, I think, but especially in things like the TurboGrafx or in the Sega Saturn and some of these more obscure consoles, is that the best games are only getting more expensive, and they're really getting out of reach for the average gamer. I mean, who's going to spend even $100 on a game? Unless you're ridiculously dedicated to it and have a need to buy Solar Eclipse on the Sega Saturn. It's just
you're looking to get that whole collection. You gotta have it, baby.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad I have it. If we can, maybe we'll run some footage of this game too. If we can, show you guys a little bit. But you guys can look on YouTube and see clips of Magic Knight Rayearth. Go check it out if you can. If you can find an emulator that'll run it. If you like RPGs, it's worth a shot. I mean, Working Designs really, like I said, didn't publish anything really bad that I can think of. So again, this is one of those pickups that I'm really happy to have, and really kind of sealed the whole deal on the success of RWX. So I was pretty stoked about that.
Yeah, I think they had more vendors this year. They still didn't. People that didn't have a lot of Sega. I'm looking for like a lot of Sega CD stuff, but not a $200 game. I'm not trying to get Snatcher.
Gotta get that Punisher.
Yeah, I'm still looking for Punisher.
I want to be Nick Fury
on Genesis. But we did talk to a guy who runs a GameCon 6. I don't know, whatever. We'll put their graphic up.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to do that in November.
That's up in Syracuse, New York.
Yeah, and he said there's about like 100 vendors, like 200 tables, and a little more flexible on pricing. So I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, as long as my wife says I can go, I can go. So we're looking forward to it. No, I think it should be a lot of fun. It'll give us a nice little breather, but I'll tell you guys, if you get a chance to go to one of these game shows, they're really a lot of fun. It's a good way to connect with a lot of people in the community. We're so separated from our hobby from other people. Sometimes we think we're on an island, but when you go to these shows, you meet people, you mingle in, you find out what other people like.
Just as nuts as you.
Yeah.
Like we're all like digging through instruction booklets.
But I kind of lean more towards like Saturn stuff. So like if I know there's guys that I'm friends with that lean more towards NES or Super NES, I can look out for that stuff for them, and they can look out for stuff for me. So if you guys can identify what you want, and you can make friends with some people that are doing the same thing, you can probably get better deals on stuff. But it's a lot of fun. So I'm kind of glad that we're getting a second show within the year, within a few months, because it's one of those things when you start doing it, you just want to keep going because it's a lot of fun. It's almost like, honestly, Christmas is great, but I don't know. Personally,
retro gaming is better.
Personally, for me, like in terms of my personal enjoyment, I love watching my son open up gifts at Christmas. It's the best thing in the world. But in terms of my own personal enjoyment for stuff, I think the gaming shows are a ton of fun. I really enjoy doing them. So we're excited. We just wanted to share with you guys, some of the stuff that we got here and all the stuff we got here actually.
Yeah.
And keep it rolling. So thank you guys for the support, and we'll be back soon with something.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched, we put out our first video. We did Sega Saturn fighting games. We did Rise 2, Resurrection, Robo Pit, and Battle Monsters.
Sometimes I wonder. Yeah, let us know what you guys want to watch. We'll if we have it, we'll plug it in and give it a shot. I think between the two of us, we have a pretty decent collection.
Yeah.
To kind of peruse. So let us know, and we'd be happy to do it for you guys.
I think we're done.
All right. Be good. Till next time.
Later. This is just a line for the Game Gear games. You'll get it.
flat. That's why.
Maybe I shouldn't have opened it.
Well, I mean...
Hold on. Hold this.
On this one. It's like a Rubik's Cube.
Why aren't they going in?
Don't be a baby.
There's something bent in there.
One of the...
You'll get it.
There it is.
You can see he wasn't very good playing Legos growing up. Kruger!